Welcome back to another installment of the Geek Easy Podcast.
Hey guys.
I'm Pixel Dan.
Jonathan Leonard.
What's up, John?
I don't know. I think I just mumbled my name.
You just mumbled.
That's a good sign for the show. Yeah. We haven't done an episode in a few weeks, and I totally forgot how to talk.
Well, when else would you be talking if not on this show? I mean, if we go weeks without doing this show, you just have nobody to talk to.
Yeah, right.
That's how it works, right?
So nobody but my kids, and they just mumble all the time anyway.
So you're like, you're like reverting back to like 2-year-old speak, 4-year-old. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's been a few weeks, but that's because there's been a lot going on, and we kind of knew that we were probably going to run into that bit of a situation since I was gone for New York, obviously doing Toy Fair, and then we had that stretch of time of me coming back doing that. Then we had the Oscars going on. So
I mean, you had tons of videos to catch. You probably still have tons of videos. To
catch
up on,
so.
Well,
I just got done with all the Toy Fair coverage finally, and I'm trying to get back into the actual toy review thing. Yeah,
your normal.
Which is always a bit of a disaster when I come back from one of these trips because the pile is
large.
It's like intimidating. Like I come over here and I'm like, I don't even know where to begin with all this. This is too much. I know, right?
Yeah.
We can figure that out. Dan Riley.
I like it.
The Scarlet Pixel.
I like it.
The Scarlet Pixel over here.
Yep.
Doing some stuff.
I get it.
Yeah.
And I'm happy.
That would be helpful. Yeah, Toy Fair was good though. Rocked out like 50 videos from the event,
nice.
Which is, I think this is probably the most I've done at a Toy Fair before. So it was a lot of work, but it's one of those things where like I felt very accomplished afterwards. So it was a good trip. It was a lot of fun, and it's always fun going to Toy Fair too, just because it's one of those unique opportunities. Even though it's like a lot of work, and it's probably the most work I do in a calendar year for like the Pixel Dan stuff. That's definitely where I do the most work, but it's cool because you get that first-hand experience of getting to like look at all these new toys that are coming out. That some of the stuff won't even be out until like Christmas time, and I think that's what's really fun about the event. That's one of the things that I truly appreciate about the show, and it's kind of the thing that I always dread going there, but after I get there and I'm kind of walking around, I have that moment where I'm like, what I do is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty grateful that I have this opportunity because it's a pretty exciting experience getting to see all that and talk to the people behind making the toys and stuff, because that's always been one of the parts of this that really interests me anyway. I like talking to the people that are actually making the toys. I think
when you say dread, you just mean like all the work, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
You're always super excited about going.
Well, it's like, I gotta go do all this work. I gotta leave my family for like 5 days. There's all that build up where you're kind of like, man, maybe I just won't. Maybe just this year I just won't go. There's always that kind of running through your head. But once I get out there and like I get into it, I realize
totally forget your family. And
forget my family. I'm like Christina, who? What? Toys, baby. Yeah. No, of course not. But I kind of get in my element when I'm out there, and I'm just like, I can do this. This is what I do. I like this. So it was really cool, and I did a ton of interviews this year, which is awesome because that's become like the primary focus for me while I'm out there, is doing the actual interviews and not just like footage of things, because I feel like, I don't know, the interviews is kind of become like my thing, and I like that, and it's really cool getting to like actually get some real in-depth conversation with a lot of people at these companies.
I mean, you can find pictures of the stuff pretty well anywhere, but to actually get the information and everything like that is that's a super interesting part.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I feel like I found my niche with Toy Fair coverage. There are so many people who cover the event, and so many people that do it so well. They've got it down to a science, and I'm friends with a lot of the guys that run a lot of sites like Toy News International and Action Figure Insider. Guys like Jay and Daniel are amazing as far as like their photos and everything from the event goes, that I know that's not, I don't need to like do that because they got it covered. Like they've got that. So that's why I made it my thing to do. I wanted to cover it in my own way, and I took my video camera out there and I took a microphone out there, and I'm like, let's go talk to these people. And I know other people do that too, but I'm pretty proud of what I've been able to accomplish with that. You know what I mean? So Yeah, and I like that. And I can't get stuff online as fast as the guys with the pictures, but I always feel like that's a good build up to what I do, because you get to see the images first through all these websites that are really great at covering it, and then you get to watch my videos when I get them up to get more detailed information on everything. So yeah,
that's kind of like the flow of information. That's how stuff like that goes. I mean, the people who are excited about it and can't make it, you want to just consume as much of that info as you can, and it's always kind of a bummer when you're looking forward to something and then you get it and then it's just over and done. So when you have the expanding news like that, it's like they get their quick fix because the pictures are out, and then after a little bit of time has elapsed, it's like, well, is there anything new? All the same pictures, except now here's some more in-depth detail and stuff like that. So you're providing a service.
Well, that's good. I'm glad, and I'm happy that people seem to be enjoying it. And the videos performed really well this year, so that's always an indicator that what I'm doing matters to some people, and that makes me happy that people care about it. So it was really good overall. I feel like this year was a really good experience, and it went very well. I got a lot accomplished, and one of the things that I definitely want to talk about now leading into Toy Fair that I find so kind of crazy about my coverage this year is I had two coverage videos that made major headlines, and as a result they blew up. It was kind of like the equivalent. For one of them for sure is like I had a viral video basically out of my Toy Fair coverage, which is kind of amazing. The coverage stuff always does well, but it doesn't explode in views. It never does. And I think that's because, you've got that niche market where people want the information and they want to get all that. But, your funny, quick little videos are always going to be the things that get higher views because that people like the entertainment aspect of things, and that's the kind of stuff. So coverage videos are what they are. I do it for a specific crowd, and I'm usually very happy with it. But I had some really great views this year, and some of the views were, a good chunk of my views, I guess a good chunk for these two specific videos were because of the fact that they made headlines. So the first one, I don't know if I even talked to you about this one. I think I did talk to you about this one. Yeah. So, NECA Toys, I always talk to my good buddy Randy Falk, who works at NECA Toys. He's always been awesome. He's one of the coolest guys in the toy industry because he's so open about everything, and I think people really appreciate having somebody that just seems like a regular cool dude that you look like you just want to hang out with. That's how this guy is. Randy's awesome. And so every year at Toy Fair, I always do a really great in-depth product walkthrough with him about all the new NECA product that they have on display, and it's always my top watched video from Toy Fair. Always. The NECA stuff is popular. It's always been one of my most popular, but it was extra popular this year for a reason that I had no idea would make it popular. He has a brief section in the interview where he's talking about all the new licensed product they're doing for Sony. And they've got, some of the new figures on display, like the awesome new Ultimate Kratos from God of War, and they're talking about the Uncharted stuff. And in this throwaway line, he's talking about how great it has been working with Sony, and that he's anticipating doing a lot more licensed product from Sony, and mentions that he saw that they were bringing Crash Bandicoot back. And Crash Bandicoot, right? It was like Sony's mascot for a long time, and he's kind of been absent for several years now. And there's been a lot of rumors and a lot of speculation, I guess, that Sony was looking into doing something with Crash. So there's been a lot of news articles and videos of people kind of speculating that Crash is on his way back in some shape or form. So Randy said this line, and it's really funny because I talked to him afterwards, and he was like, well, I said that because I saw this stuff online. I didn't actually know anything solid. However, that one little line in this 20-minute walkthrough of all their product gets the attention of websites like IGN and Kotaku and all these huge gaming websites that start posting my interview with Randy with the headline, NECA Toys confirms Sony is bringing back Crash Bandicoot. So, internet journalism.
Yeah,
yay.
Absolutely.
Because he doesn't confirm it at all in the interview. And you watch the interview, he's the line is something like, and I saw they were bringing Crash Bandicoot back. And he's totally just referring to the stuff he saw online with everybody else.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things that kind of gets, I guess, they picked it up because maybe they thought it was newsworthy. The headlines are a little misleading. I'm not complaining because a lot of people have watched that video now. Yeah. Not that a lot of people didn't watch it already, but it definitely got a boost.
Yeah, I mean,
it definitely got a boost.
The coverage shoots it up.
Yeah, so that was cool.
Getting on some of those bigger web. I mean, you get on IGN, people are looking at that stuff.
Yeah,
so, but
and it's really cool. I like that. That's actually the second time I've been on IGN and some of those websites this year from a NECA Toys thing. Because if you remember, I also got the privilege of revealing the new Contra figures, and IGN and those sites picked that up too. So that was really cool. So yeah, it's always kind of cool when you see your stuff actually making big headlines like that, and people are like messaging me going, "Dude, you're on IGN. Dude, you're on Kotaku," and that's kind of fun to see, you know.
It's always funny when you get those proof positive moments though of stuff like being totally taken out of context.
Exactly.
Because like now you're living that moment, so
it's because of me, kind of.
Well,
like you know what I mean?
And it's gonna be 6 months before you personally read anything else on the internet without going, I wonder if there's a shred of truth to that.
I know, right?
Because
I wonder if some poor guy was just doing an interview somewhere and somebody randomly said something and it turned into this headline.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Anybody can pick up anything out of context and just run with it, you know. And I mean, it doesn't happen all the time, but it happens
a lot
all the time.
Yeah, that's good. It doesn't happen all the time, but it happens all the time. That is accurate. That is accurate. Well, the next one was even bigger, and this was amazing because this is not something that I expected. But after the fact, I guess it's kind of one of those things that's like, well, I guess it is a hot button topic. It's been a really hot topic of discussion, so I can understand why people care about this so much. Mattel announced a while ago that they were going to be producing the new action figures for the new Ghostbusters film. And that made sense because they did a whole line of action figures based on the original movies. And when they revealed the 4 Ghostbusters online, I would say, gosh, it might have been a month or so before Toy Fair even happened. And they actually look like they fit right in with the other Ghostbusters toys they've already done. So they're done in the same style and everything. So we knew that we would probably see some stuff on that out at Toy Fair. And when we got there, there was a small display at Mattel's showroom. And the crazy thing is I saw them, they were on display in 2 different spots. On Saturday night, Mattel had a Matty collector like party, which is where they basically just displayed all their collector brands out at like this bar, and they had like this little get together for members of the press. And that's where they showed off like the new He-Man stuff, the new Thundercats stuff, a bunch of that, but they had other things on display too, like the Ghostbusters. So that's the first time I saw them. They were on display, but there was no real information with it. They just had the 4 Ghostbusters. They had some of the ghosts from the film, and this is the first time we had seen any of the ghosts. They had this crazy demon-looking guy called Mayhem, and then they had this guy that looks like the No Ghost logo, but there was no information on who he was. And there was like a 6-inch Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I don't know if he has anything to do with the new movie or if they're just making a toy of Stay Puft. I'm guessing the latter. I think they're just making a toy of the Stay Puft. So those were on display that night. I know everybody that was there was taking photos of them, taking videos of them, whatever. It wasn't just me. A ton of people were covering them. The next day, Mattel had an event in their actual showroom at Toy Fair. So this is where I got to see the Ghostbusters toys for a second time with an actual presenter this time, actually giving you information on the toys. Again, I'm in there with a ton of members of the press, all doing the same thing as me. Many of them also with video cameras like me, filming the presentations, because that's what they were in there to do. They were in there giving these presentations to the press so the press could report on it. So I filmed many presentations in there, including the Ghostbusters one. And the key element of the Ghostbusters one is the presenter confirmed the No Ghost is named Rowan, and he also called him the villain in the movie. Like he says it in the video. He says, this is going to be the villain in the movie. He's also like the Build-A-Figure. So like each Ghostbuster comes with a piece to build him, and now you've got the villain from the movie, and that's the way it works. So, you know, as soon as I got done with that little presentation, I snapped a picture of the character, threw it up on my Instagram, and said, Mattel just confirmed this character's name is Rowan, and he's the villain in the new movie. Because everybody had already been trying to figure out who he was from the night before because there was no information the night before. I got the information that day, along with everybody else that was at that event. Later that day, I made sure that was one of the first videos I edited and posted online, just kind of back up what I had put up on Instagram earlier in the day. I didn't really expect it to get as crazy as it did, but all of a sudden that video and my post on Instagram made the rounds on like national news coverage websites. Like it started kind of small with some of the little movie coverage websites, but then it also ended up in places like IGN, and then it was on like MSN.com, and it was on Superhero Hype, and it was like seriously making the rounds on like all these big legit news websites.
Anywhere that talks about movies.
Yes. Yeah. So everybody was talking about, you know, reporter Pixel Dan gets Mattel to confirm the villain in the new Ghostbusters movie. And it was crazy. Like at first I was like, this is really awesome. Actually, I still think it's really awesome. Because, like I said, I'm not the only one that covered this. Yeah. I'm the lucky guy whose stuff got picked up for all of this. Yeah. It's just the way it works sometimes. You never know. What I find funny about this situation is how I've seen some of these sites, or people have told me how some of these sites are reporting this news like I did something wrong, like I leaked news. Yeah. And then you also see like a lot of the comments on this stuff talking about how I spoiled a bunch of stuff and I leaked a bunch of stuff, which is just hilarious to me because again, I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, I mean
I reported.
You've got the guy from Mattel on the camera that you were willing to take, and Mattel hasn't gotten a hold of you, have they?
No, exactly. Okay, and I'll tell you what, when it started like really going viral that day, I was going, oh man, somebody's going to email me and tell me to take this video down. Yeah. Like, I just have a feeling that Mattel goofed up. They weren't supposed to say that. And somebody's going to tell me to take this video down. It didn't happen. Nobody ever contacted me, which means they don't care. Yeah. They don't care. Yeah, absolutely. This stuff was supposed to be out there. And, I've always been really good about NDA stuff. Like, if there's a lot of stuff at Toy Fair that they specifically say, you can't film that, you can't take a picture of that, let's not talk about that, I always oblige. Because I have no reason to, like, go against their wishes. I understand why things
get you in trouble.
Exactly. Exactly. I keep good relationships with these people. So if Mattel didn't want me to know that, they wouldn't have told me that on camera.
And anybody who listens to that, I mean, we talk about that stuff a lot. And you're always very adamant about that. You know, like don't cell phone camera a movie. Don't go and don't post the pictures that they specifically tell you not to post, stuff like that. Like there's no reason. Like you get invited to do that stuff, cover what you're allowed to cover, enjoy the rest, and kind of run with it.
Right.
So you're not the type of guy who's going to go and grab anything you can and throw it out there for some quick exposure. And you had no idea. I mean, you just put the post up.
Exactly.
You have no idea what's going to actually get picked up and what people are going to care about. So. Yeah, like the idea, even if they had gotten upset and had cease and desisted you, like it wouldn't have been malicious intent.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oops, sorry, I didn't realize somebody messed up. They either messed up by telling you something they weren't supposed to, or they messed up by not telling you not to repeat it.
Right, exactly. Don't tell this to anybody. Right. So like even if that would have happened, it's not like I would have been in trouble. They probably would have just said, hey, we need you to take that video down. I just said, okay, no problem.
Yeah.
I just took it down, and it all been fine. Yeah. But it didn't happen, which means they don't care.
Exactly.
It was out there because they obviously got approval from the studio to put that out there, and it's out there now.
Yeah. And let's also be fair, too. Like, it's not like knowing... I don't think that's going to be a huge surprise in the movie.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
Yeah.
It may be something they kind of wanted to throw into a trailer, just for, quote-unquote shock value, but it's not like there's huge spoilers going to be revealed from seeing the look of that guy.
That's true.
So it's not like we're spoiling the end of Civil War, by, or something like highly beloved like that. Like, people are interested in this new Ghostbusters project. I'm interested to see where this new project goes, but other than thinking that ghost looks silly, it's not like this has affected my movie going. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's not like it's a huge spoiler.
If it is a spoiler that you're upset about, you can direct that at Mattel and the studio.
Yeah.
Not at Pixel Dan. But I don't really think people are like, I honestly, it's not like anybody's been mad at me or been yelling at me or anything like that. None of that's been going on. I just thought it was funny how some of those websites were reporting it like I snuck this, like I wasn't supposed to. And it's just like, what?
Exactly.
Like that's...
Again, you have the footage of the guy from Mattel telling you this. It's not like it was a hidden camera.
It was pretty funny. Like that's like on the flip side. Playmates wasn't allowed to show the new Turtles movie figures at Toy Fair again because the studio wouldn't let them, even though those pictures were already on the internet and we've seen those pictures.
Yep.
So, that's a case of where the studio told Playmates, nope, you can't show the toys. If Mattel was under that same situation, they wouldn't have shown that ghost. Yeah. So that's all there is to it. And that turtle thing just drives me nuts because those toys are starting to hit stores now. People are already finding them. Why couldn't I see those at Toy Fair 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, I don't know.
The studio is so weird with the turtles.
Well, I don't get it. I really think, and again, I'll say this 1,000 times on this show, I don't know anything about studio politics. I've never been there. Yeah. I've got my assumptions. But I really think when it goes through channels like that, somewhere along that line, someone went, well, we don't show this stuff. And that was it. And that just nobody argued with them, Yeah. Like, this is our policy. We don't do it.
Like, the guys at Playmates seemed like they were kind of like, yeah, I mean, like, we tried. He was telling me, he's like we were telling them that we wanted to show this stuff this weekend, and they wouldn't let us do it. And that stinks, man. I feel so bad for them because they want to show it off to not just press. They're trying to show the stuff off to retailers and stuff too.
I know, absolutely.
And when the studios are
the
just
funny
like,
thing is, like, the studio, like, half the time the movie is a driving force to sell toys.
I know.
So you'd think
why wouldn't you put those out there?
Their toys,
I know. But, I know. It's so weird.
Whatever.
So let's talk about that ghosting real quick. Have you had any kind of speculations on like what how you think that guy might come to be?
I have no idea where any of the story stuff is going. So no, and that was kind of my point. Like, seeing him doesn't spoil anything because I still have no idea if I should expect a very like I don't know if I should expect a remake style or a full new.
I know.
I don't know what direction they're coming from. I know they're not quote unquote remaking. It's not going to be like shot for shot, but is it a similar story? Are they scientists down on their luck? I don't know who the characters are or how they come to be. I don't know any of that stuff. So looking at that ghost and going, okay, well, the logo's the bad guy.
Yeah.
I still have zero speculation as far as why or how.
Yeah.
Now, as far as looking at it and going, that doesn't look intimidating.
Right.
I've got that.
But maybe I wonder too, like. Well, because we saw that Mayhem figure too, and I'm still trying to figure out.
Crazy.
It does look crazy, so I don't know if that's like a red herring. Like that looks like the big bad, but then the No Ghost guy is the real big bad, or maybe the Mattel guy. I mean, he said he was the villain in the movie, but maybe Mayhem is the villain in the movie, or maybe there's multiple villains.
Or maybe we haven't seen the actual villain yet,
Or maybe Rowan is sort of like a Zool situation where, like, when Stay Puft was created, maybe it takes the form of their logo.
Yeah.
Or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, there could be a reason behind why he looks like that fits in with what we've seen in Ghostbusters.
I mean, like, remember the actual original Ghostbusters, pre-cartoon and everything like that.
Yeah.
Like, Slimer was technically just a ghost and not a particularly nice one.
That's true.
So maybe this guy is like the Slimer. Kind of a bad guy, but more of like more of like a comic relief foil character.
He's got like jagged teeth. Did you notice that? He's got like pointy teeth, and he's that's true. What about the intro to the real Ghostbusters cartoon? Totally has that ghost walking down the street. Remember, right before he goes into the logo.
Doesn't he sing the song?
The precursor, dude.
Does he sing the song?
No, I don't think he sings the song. I think he's just like walking down the street all happy, and then he's like, ah, and the No Ghost thing catches him. That's him, dude. They're just doing real Ghostbusters the movie.
With the bow tie.
Yeah.
They've got the haircut.
Oh yeah, I know. The Egon character.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe they are just doing that.
Yeah,
which is fine. I love that show.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I'm curious, but it's kind of crazy to think that I'm the one that put that out there for the whole world to see.
You ruined the internet.
I ruined everything. Sorry guys, I spoiled the movie for you. So Toy Fair was pretty cool.
Like a lot of times when you come back from that, I've got like a big Q&A for you and everything like that. And not to say we'll never do that again because it's always super interesting. But we've got a ton of stuff to talk about.
We have a lot to talk about.
So I don't want to go into like a half an hour.
Yeah,
but like,
totally.
Did you learn anything new this year?
Did I learn anything new? What do you mean? And then
I mean, not just like product reveal and stuff like that, but you have these experiences because every year you've gone, you always have that.
Oh, just the process of covering the event.
Exactly.
I feel like I've gotten a pretty good handle on it now. Like this year, I felt like I was the most prepared that I've ever been.
Mm-hmm.
I had scheduled everything down to like I timed everything this year, all of my appointments, which was really great. And it's one of the things that's super beneficial at this show. Like, you have to make appointments. It works the best that way. So it got a little stressful leading up to the event because trying to coordinate with that many toy companies and making it all fit in your schedule is not necessarily the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
Especially when they all wait to the last minute and then go, we got an event at this time, we got an event at this time, and then you got to try to make sure they're not like crossing over with each other. So that's one of the most stressful things about planning for this trip. But I had a really great schedule this year. I had like 3 days booked solid, where it was just from like 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day was just appointments. So it was nuts, but it worked out really well. I was able to get in and get my footage at every place, get it all done. In fact, I got really ahead on Sunday to the point where I was like plowing through my appointments faster than I expected. So I ended up being like 3 hours ahead of schedule on Sunday. So I started just going to places going, hi, yeah, I don't have an appointment for like another couple hours, but I'm like way ahead. Can I come in right now? And I got really lucky because most of them were like, you know what? We had a cancellation. Come on in. And it was amazing. Like awesome. Sunday, I like knocked out half my time because it was awesome. But
good stuff.
That was really cool. But there was one thing that was really different this year that I totally forgot to talk about, and that's that they added a new co-event onto Toy Fair called Playfair. And Playfair is meant kind of as a way to give a little sliver of Toy Fair to kids and their families to experience. Because, as we've talked about before, Toy Fair is a trade show. Yeah, it's only open to press and retailers, and that's it. The public cannot come in there. And kids specifically are banned from the event. They don't let kids in at all. So they started Playfair this year. It was a new event. It was kind of meant to just be a family-friendly little piece. It was like in the little Javits North, which is like a smaller section of the convention center, and it was really cool. The thing that was really neat about the experience is I actually got contacted beforehand and asked to be an ambassador of the event. They basically named, I think it was 10 influential toy YouTubers to be ambassadors of the event, which was really cool because it was a cool opportunity where I basically just kind of helped spread the word on the event. I did a bunch of giveaways for tickets, and in exchange they gave me like time at the event where like I did like a meet and greet with people. So like they actually like it was really cool walking in, seeing like the sign of events, like all the things listed that they were doing, and like at a certain time slot it was like meet and greet with Pixel Dan. Awesome. I was like, oh, this is crazy. Like it was really neat getting to be like an official part of this event. But it was very kid friendly, and it was one of those things I was walking in there just like, man, I really wish I could have brought Spencer to this because this is cool. Like it was sponsored by Nickelodeon and Crayola, I think, and Toys R Us were like big sponsors. But they just had like all the toy companies brought things to this event that was for kids. Nickelodeon had this amazing giant like Ninja Turtles play area set up with like things to crawl through and everything for the kids, and all the kids got Ninja Turtles bandanas to go run around in there and do stuff. And the actual Batmobile from Batman vs. Superman was there on display.
Oh, cool.
Like the Batmobile. Like,
was Ben Affleck in it?
He was not, but I got to see the Batmobile in person. It was pretty cool.
They let you drive it?
No.
Man.
I was like, I'm the ambassador. I need to drive this thing, please. They were like, we don't know what. Get out of here. And then they did like, it was kind of cool because they had like a stage set up, and they were doing like some of the more popular YouTubers got to go and do like live toy unboxings and videos in front of a live audience, which was kind of cool.
That's awesome.
And they had like some Nickelodeon stars there, and just like people that kids would know. It was really cool. The place was chaos. I mean, there was kids everywhere, but they were having a great time. It was really cool. Costume characters were there, like official ones, like the Turtles were there, and like some of the Disney stuff, like PJ Masks and
awesome.
Some of those characters were there. It was a really neat event.
Awesome.
So that was a cool experience. And like I said, I got to do the meet and greet, and like it was really cool. It was a little rough because my meet and greet was at the very end of the day on Sunday, which is the last day of the show. And I kind of felt bad because I knew that, you know how conventions go.
Yeah.
When the time goes on, there's less people there. And so I knew that I wasn't going to have a huge crowd. That was totally fine. I felt really bad because parents had to wait until like 6 o'clock on a Sunday evening for their kids to come talk to me. So that's what I felt kind of bad about. But it was really cool because like, it was really crazy too. Like there was a green room and like a security guy who came and got me and like brought me over to my little meet and greet area, and there was like a line of people waiting to see me. It was a really surreal experience. But it was awesome.
That's great.
Like this kid, it was a line of kids with their parents that were all ready to see me, and it was a really neat experience because it was all kids that wanted to meet me. And the kid that was in the front of the line, the security guard was telling me afterwards that this kid he tried to line up around noon that day because he wanted to be the first person in line to see me. And they had to tell him, they're like, you don't have to come here this early. Like, go enjoy the event and come back. But they finally let him line up 30 minutes before I was supposed to be there because he was so adamant on being the first person in line to see me.
Awesome.
It was amazing. So the kid's name was Aiden. Got to give a super shout out to Aiden.
Yeah,
he was awesome.
How old was he?
He probably looked like he was around maybe 10 or so,
Awesome.
9 or 10 maybe, I'd say. But it was really cool. It was neat. So
That's great.
I took photos, and like they all had me like all the kids that were there had me autograph like either their Playfair badge or something. And I took a bunch of pictures. I talked to all their parents for a long time. It was just a cool experience.
Awesome.
So that was like my fun like mini celebrity moment of Toy Fair that I've never really gotten to experience before. It was kind of cool. It was really cool.
First of many.
Maybe I would love to do this again if I get the opportunity. So that was my Toy Fair this year. It was fun.
I've seen you experience some mini like celebrity events
Some
and
small
conventions and stuff. I remember years ago at that
at the toy show.
Yeah.
Was that at the toy show?
Yeah.
Kane County.
Yeah, and I mean because you hadn't even been. I mean, you had been doing it for a couple of years, but you hadn't gotten a lot of exposure.
Yeah.
You know, and you were starting to pick up some steam. And I remember this kid, cool kid, nice kid, but he was just kind of hovering for a couple minutes. And then he came up and he's like, "Hey, are you Pixel Dad?" And you were like, "Yeah, that's me." And the kid was just like, "Oh," and like couldn't talk for a few seconds, you know. And it was like, "I like your stuff," and then just like left. And then he came back and like, 20 minutes later, a little bit more composed. He's like, "I don't want to keep bothering you, but can I get a picture, so my friends will know?" And I was like,
yeah, I
awesome.
remember that.
Yeah.
My friends aren't going to believe me. I think is what he said.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah,
I think that's
great. That's great.
I always try to like tell those people too. I'm like, let's just talk. It's fine. Because some of those people do get like that. They get real nervous. One of the kids that was at Playfair, he was so excited to see me, but when he actually came up to talk to me, he just shut down. He was so quiet, and his mom kept saying, "Don't you want to talk to him?" And he was just like, so I was as nice as I could be to him.
Yeah.
I just kept trying to talk to him and stuff. I didn't want to like spook him, but I wanted him to know that like
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you want him to have an experience.
Talk. And because she was one of the ones that was like, we waited all day, we probably would have gone home if we didn't have to wait till 6 o'clock to see you. And I was like, I feel really bad about that. And she was like, don't worry, because he's gonna remember this for a long time, and that's what's important. And I was just like, this is crazy. The kids like, it's weird to me, even though like. Even just having one kid that thinks what I do is cool is all I need. Like, that's amazing to me. So, cool stuff. It was a good experience. Yeah. It was a good experience.